Titans is finally back, and they dropped 2 episodes to go along with it, and we're going to talk about it because there's a lot of stuff that happened. These first 2 episodes are probably better than some of the episodes in the previous seasons, and it seems like the writing has improved. I'm looking forward to seeing the direction it goes in, because it's added a lot of interesting plot points, especially because it's a lot darker than we're used to. Well, it's darker, but in a good way compared to the previous seasons. I'm looking forward to it, and we got to review it to break it down and talk about all the different comic booky stuff that happened in it and how it felt as a Titans TV show. So we're going to cover the first 2 episodes, but before I get into it, welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. If you like content just like this, hit the subscribe button for more, and I hope you enjoy this video. I think starting off that the best thing about this season so far is that the darker tone is going to work. Like, I feel like Titans should be more of an uplifting show. There should be brighter things to it because of how the characters act and how kind of Nightwing gets away from the dark side of him and tries to bring in the charismatic light. And how, like, Garfield Logan is a pretty, like, light and charismatic character. Starfire is very bubbly and charming, even though she can still be pretty, terrifying to fight. Raven's the darker one, of course. And Connor is Superboy. He's supposed to be, like, this nice, smiling Superman-type character. And I think they're getting to that, and it felt more natural this season than it has in the past, because I always felt that the shows took way too long to get to the characters where they're supposed to be, and it feels good that we're kind of there now. One of the things I had issues with the past season is how dark the show was, and how the characters didn't really feel right, but with this season and how they're dealing with the cult, and the Church of Blood, and Brother Blood, and probably Trigon again, it feels right for it to be darker, because you can't really have a cult and not be dark. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, where it's going to go, and how they're going to deal with this going forward, because there's just so many things that are going to happen with our characters that could end up leading them down a dark path. And I'm very intrigued to find out more. But let's talk about episode 1, and then we'll go into episode 2 about everything that pretty much happened here, and talk about some of the cool things that went down. Beginning of the episode, the Titans were bowling, and it actually felt like the Titans were Titans. They were a group, they were a family, and it felt right, it felt more natural, and I really enjoyed that part of the episode. And also, the color, the lights they used, it looks so nice. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see more. And I also find it really weird that Season 3 was only a few weeks ago, and that it's not like a big time jump, and that it's continuing right after, which makes it a little easier for the show to kind of keep continuing. And it feels like each season's kind of picked up fairly quickly afterwards. I'm still really hoping that some of the past characters from earlier seasons show up, like Rose and Jericho, because I know Slade Wilson's coming back, so it's going to be interesting to see if it's actually Slade Wilson or if it's going to be like a vision or some shit because we're dealing with magic. But I am intrigued, and it's kind of nice to actually see Gar using his powers. He turns his arm into an octopus tentacle to bowl, and I'm like, we finally get to see him use his moves. Like, I've been complaining for the last 3 seasons that he's only turned into like 3 freaking animals, and he's finally going to do it a lot more often this season, and I can't wait, because that's all I've wanted was to see a Beast Boy turn into actual beasts. I also really like that we have Connor going to go meet his dad, per se, which is Superman. They go to see Superman at Star Labs, but Superman's not there. He actually had to fly out to space to help the solar system out because the dwarf star was about to blow up, and it was the only way to save him with Superman going out there like the hero he is to save the galaxy, which I think is really cool, showing us more about the character, but I really want to meet Superman on Titans. I was very confused at first about why Lex Luthor was working with the Church of Blood, but after this episode, it makes a lot more sense, because when I found out it was happening in the show, I was like, why? Lex Luthor wouldn't work with them. However, the reason he's working with them because he's dying from kryptonite poisoning, which I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense. He has had that in the comics, but in this, tries to use magic, I guess, to get rid of it, but then he has to pay the price. The Church of Blood comes after him, kills him and his inner circle, which I thought was pretty goddamn dark. And I thought it was really interesting that Lex Luthor died the first day we got to see him. Like, I did not think they were going to kill Lex Luthor, and the way he died was so gruesome. He had a snake come out of his mouth, and then Connor burned it, because that thing was gigantic, and I do not understand what's going on. I like being confused, because it kind of adds more to it, it adds a mystery to it, and it makes me want to dive deeper into it. I also thought it was really cool that we could see LexCorp and the Daily Planet, plus the Superman statue outside Star Labs, really showing us Metropolis. One of the things I love the most is Gar finally has a suit, finally a superhero suit that he can wear, and it helps him change into other animals, where he keeps the clothes on rather than having to strip naked each time. And when he does it, I'm assuming he goes into the red, which is a force that connects all the animal life and microorganisms in the universe, which also connects all the different people with animal-based powers. Like Animal Man uses it, Vixen, and then Beast Boy, of course. And when he does that, he apparently transforms into a velociraptor, gorilla, and armadillo and destroys a lab around him. Which I'm like, we don't get to see that, but if they just name dropped a velociraptor, I swear to God, I better see Beast Boy turn into a green velociraptor by the end of the season, or I'm going to be pissed. Because that is freaking awesome. And I like how when Bernard goes ahead and says that Dick called ahead to give him something, he's like, "You're giving me the Robin suit? This is awesome." And I'm like, okay, first of all, why does everyone know all the Bat Family's identities? I hate that they know that. It just bothers me because they always keep it such a secret, even though they don't seem to know Bruce's identity, because they kind of mention, oh, Bruce called us and said you helped save Gotham, but they didn't say Batman. So I don't think they know one and one's the same. But apparently all the other Bat Family members all have their secret identities known by everyone else, which I don't like. Tim Drake gets his bow staff, which I think is really cool, and I can't wait to see him learn how to use it. I just wish he had some sort of secret identity he could use. A mask. To give him something. I hate that he's just standing here with the staff all the time. I'm like, all of you have suits except Tim. Tim should have at least one thing to hide his identity. That's all I'm saying. And I really like how they put a car under the RV. I just think that's really funny and really like billionaire playboy type of thing. It screams Batman. And how you have Lex reach out to Connor, Dick and Corey going to investigate, Lex sending goddamn ninjas after Nightwing, which I thought was a cool fight. I didn't like how Nightwing slashed the dude with a sword, but it did look cool, the fight itself. Choreography was on point. It felt like Nightwing. However, again, the slash bothered me. I don't think he killed the dude. At first, I was like, did they just kill the dude? Of course they can't. It's Nightwing. He doesn't kill, even though this show has gotten really close to the line of killing people. And then when Nightwing threw 2 shurikens in the back of one of the ninjas' back, I was like, actually, that makes sense. Batman and Nightwing have thrown like their batarangs into people's hands before. I don't think they are killing them. They're just injuring them, which I'm going to say the same with for the slash. And I like how through this episode, too, you can have Rachel slowly picking up the blood magic that's going on and seeing the blood, sensing it, and knowing something magical is going on in the city, which is really cool, getting Rachel's magical powers being used more. And honestly, it's always cool to see more Raven. Raven's a cool character, and I love where they're taking her this season. And back to the Lex part and how he died, the one thing I was really annoyed by was when we're finding out more about Lex, Lex knows that Clark Kent is Kent because when Connor's like, "My name is Connor Kent," he's like, "Oh, so you took his name." I'm like, how do you know that? You shouldn't know that. Okay, Lex has figured that out in the comics, but still, why is it every time in this show, everyone just knows everyone else's freaking identities? I hate it. I don't like it. I like how we find out that Connor was created for Lex to be his dream to become Superman. And see, if he couldn't achieve it, he wanted a son that could do it, which is definitely a Lex thing to do. He'd rather have his own hero to take up the mantle to really show that we don't need any alien hero to be our hero kind of thing, and that's how always Lex is. Also, Sebastian was pretty interesting through this episode because you can really see him. He is crazy. Something is going on with him, and then he starts spitting up blood. But he doesn't really have a big issue with it. It's going to be pretty dark with all the blood. Blood likes to come out of everywhere, especially in episode 2 where we have more and more of it. And it's just going to get, again, really dark and really twisted, I think, this season. Now let's jump into episode 2 where we start with a family enjoying their day until blood starts pouring down their house. And they get killed by one of the cultists who's been going around killing people, which is just, again, so twisted, so dark, and it's intriguing at the same time. And of course, because Lex died last episode, and we had Connor with him, the LexCorp and the MPD assume Connor did it. Even though he's wearing the symbol of hope, everyone doesn't trust him because no one really knows what kind of hero he is yet anyways, because he's still new to the world. And I like how when Connor's in the jail, there's literally a dude standing there with a freaking minigun pointed at him. I'm like, does that minigun filled with kryptonite bullets? Because you're not going to be able to take down Superboy if you don't. Well, they did have him weakened by kryptonite, but still. And through this episode, we find more and more out about the Church of Blood, because you have Corey going to investigate, finding out that Lex's inner circle died along with them because of the Church of Blood. Then when she's talking to Nelson Blake, he gets killed by the Church of Blood with the snake also coming out of him, which is, again, so twisted and just imagining that thing coming out of his... No, never mind. I'm not even going to try to go into it. That's just... I can't. It's a no from me. And then they're investigating, and you have Rachel finding out where the house was from the beginning of the episode, and she senses, she knows something's up. They go there, and they find the dead family. They find the little girl. Rachel goes into the dream of the little girl because she's stuck in this, like, nightmare. And that's showing Rachel's powers, being able to do that, and I thought that was really cool, and it really showed, what Rachel can do, because I don't think we've seen enough of her power through the last few seasons. So I think if this season's more of a heavily focused magic season, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I hope we do get to see other magic characters if that's the case. And the cultist mentions Azarath, which is an interdimensional realm that existed between the planes of known reality, which is related to both Trigon and Raven. And because of Rachel being in this nightmare, she finds out where the Masked Man is. Titans go to take him on. They find out a lot of the people who were getting drained of blood, who were with the people who got killed, are still alive, and they were able to rescue them like heroes do. Rachel takes on the Masked Man, and he sets himself ablaze. Her magic looked cool as shit, but then he turns himself afire because I guess when the mask gets ripped off, it's kind of like a shame or something. Because I find even with cults, like if you wear your mask, you got to wear it. If you take it off, you get killed, kind of thing. So I think that's what's going on there. But he sets himself ablaze, which I thought was very interesting. And Rachel's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do it. Which is her just saying that she didn't kill a dude and he did it himself. I'm intrigued to see if there's going to be another Masked Man that comes out now, and if they just swap positions as they go on. And at the end of the episode, you had Mother Mayhem attacking the Titans. Connor gets his ass blasted away. Rachel gets her power drained, and her crystal on her head for Trigon is gone. Her hair turns white. Dick gets slapped to the ground and taken out like no problem. Corey seemingly takes out Mother Mayhem, but I don't think that's the case. I think she just used it as a distraction to get away. I'm very interested in seeing what's going on, because in the comics, Raven was captured by Brother Blood's minions to control Nightwing as part of Brother Blood's resurrection, and the Titans rescued her and prevented that from happening. Raven ended up donning the white cloak after that because she was free of Trigon's influence. So I'm interested to seeing if that's what's going on here, and because the crystal's gone and her hair turns white, if that's kind of resemblance to that. And also in the comics, the Teen Titans, when they were reformed again, discovered that the Church of Blood, who worshipped Trigon, found that they were trying to do a prophecy to marry Brother Blood and Raven together, which would result in Armageddon. Which, that could also be a story point in this season where they're trying to get Brother Blood to go with Raven to reborn Trigon. I feel like this season's going to primarily try to get Trigon back, and that's what's going to happen here. And I really hope they do Trigon justice, not like the first season, where they brought him in, and then they got rid of him within the end of season 1 and the first episode of season 2, which was something I really hated. And season 1 was just a mess, and season 2 was a little better, and it's just kind of slowly getting better with some still errors with the seasons. I don't know. I still enjoy the show. It's just not exactly what I'd want. Plus, in episode 2, we also got a lot more about Sebastian Blood. I mean, he's not Sebastian Blood yet. By the end of the episode, he probably is going to be. But you had him kind of going crazy. It looks like Mother Mayhem takes out his mother so he can go crazier and kind of snap a little bit more. You have him trying to make his app to kind of have a gaming community, but I think it's him just trying. That's why he's going to be drawn to the cult, because it's like a community. Mother Mayhem's getting more into him, and I think in the past he has had tied to his father, who was probably the other Sebastian Blood, because it's like passed down, and that's how he's getting his power, and that why he sees things, and why when he was looking in the mirror in episode 1, he saw another version of him, where I think he's been repressing that kind of gene for so long, that now that he's finally awakened, he's going to go into that crazy Brother Blood form. Very intrigued by this season. There is so much stuff going on, and I think it's just going to get darker from here on out. But I do hope we get to see other Titans characters show up, new ones introduced, and they join the team for a short time and actually help out. I can't wait to see Beast Boy turn into more animals. I swear to God, if he doesn't turn into a Velociraptor at least once, I'm going to be mad. And I want to see all the Titans use their powers, suit up properly, and I hope Tim becomes Robin this season. But who knows if it'll happen. And I really hope this isn't the last season, because I feel like Titans is one of those shows that has a lot of potential. It just needs to get there. What do you think of episode 1 and 2? Let me know down in the comments. Were there any Easter eggs you might have noticed? And thanks you guys for watching. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button for more, because I will be covering Titans weekly. And I'll talk to you all later.